I call the October 15th, 2023 capital improvement plan.
September 11th.
September 11th, thank you.
Yep.
I was reading the minutes date.
Yep.
It's also 2024. September 11th, 2024, Capital Plan Improvement Committee meeting to order. And begin as always with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We don't have voting for officers on this agenda. Can we add it to the next one?
This one in October, because I think we're finishing this cycle. We already have it, so
Okay.
once the cycle is
Yes,
done,
yeah,
then we'll go.
Okay, great. So first item on the agenda is approval of minutes. I will accept a motion for the approval of the October 16th, 2023 Capital Improvement Committee minutes.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
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 You can vote too.
You can vote, yeah, yeah.
Abstain, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
All those, that's 4-0. Second item on the agenda is review and vote on the following requests. So we have, 6 departments
Yeah.
requests that we will be reviewing today.
So, Mr. Chair, if you wouldn't mind, I think we just go out of order here. Just start with environmental services, then recreation, then public works, if you wouldn't mind.
Sounds good. So as these coming up, just a reminder to the committee that last year I think we discussed how we wanted to continue to create a more effective planning, to make this more a planning body than a budgetary body. With the master plan rewrite going on, I know that maybe at the end of this, town planner can discuss where we sit with that and how that is going to influence the way we operate as a board, or sorry, as a committee moving forward. But for today, we will continue to operate in that sort of budgetary recommendation capacity as the RSA requires. And as such, we will listen to these departments.
Yeah, so if you want to turn to page 7 in your packet.
7, and this is Sean,
This
correct?
is Sean, yeah.
So, we're going out of order.
Yeah. So I think it's the same.
Okay.
Again, and Mr. Chair, if you want to kind of set the table and our kind of our ethos for this,
That's, yeah.
yeah. So we have a lot of reoccurring requests, and then I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I misunderstood from our last meeting and previous conversations, is that we want to kind of understand what's new, what's reoccurring. Okay, kind of review that briefly, and then really focusing on the new requests or the amended requests.
Thanks, Bart. I really appreciate that. So I guess for all the presenters, recognizing that we don't have to rehear the same projects. We're continuing to fund this at this amount because we're doing this. It is more, how has the plan evolved or deviated from the previous iteration that we saw? Have there been any changes, movement of monies one direction or another, or new work that's being planned out there? Just so that we understand that, given that we've already approved the previous plan.
First is, I guess, the wastewater department. The wastewater department, the current projects that are evolving right now that we're working on is the septic receiving station, which there is a septic receiving station capital reserve fund. And we're also working on the new storage garage for the water and sewer department. Those are the two current things. Otherwise, we're looking to start planning and moving ahead with the engineering for the Creighton Street pumping station, which is part of the plan. These are all pieces that have been part of the plan. So that's currently what's happening right now. We actually have a new request this year, and that's for the wastewater master plan, for $200,000, and that is to set the stage for what's going to be done for the next 20 years. It's also, the importance of it is for the transition of the changing of the guard, you may say, as people retire. We need to have a transition plan and make sure everything's smooth, and when the people come in, they know what the capital improvement plan is, they know how to operate the facilities, and it's also try and identify areas that we could improve in to operate it, the facilities that much better. So that's the wastewater.
Questions for wastewater?
Yes.
This is a master plan, and I totally appreciate why we need it, and we do need it, and makes absolute sense, and we should explain to me why this is a CIP project, however. And I understand that it relates to, managing, facilities.
Because it's going to have a lot of capital improvement within that plan, a lot of it. So we're going to be looking at the pipes, we're going to be pump stations, we're going to be looking at the wastewater plant. So there's going to be a large section in that that's going to be.
Because this is planning for capital improvement of the future.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Other questions? I very much appreciate the concept of a master plan informing your ongoing capital improvements. So thank you for that work.
Well, it's long been overdue.
There are always competing priorities, aren't there? So I'm glad that you're able to, get there now. That's awesome.
Sean, these funds, I know it says CRF, you basically are coming from enterprise funds, is that correct?
Everything is from enterprise funds.
Yep.
Nothing is from the tax rate.
Transferred in.
Yeah. Excellent. If there's nothing else on wastewater, we'll listen to Sean Gregg on water.
So currently, on the water, we are actually finishing up the water projects that we've been working on for quite a few years now. We were lucky, we actually are doing the Bennett well when we didn't think we were going to have enough money for the Bennett well. We secured funding through the State Revolving Loan Fund. It's a $1 million project, and it's going to end up, not including engineering, it's just construction. And the cost to the town is going to be about $600,000. So we did very well through that. So as part of the capital improvement plan, I'm adding the equipment to this currently for next year. And then, what was the other one here that I had for a new one?
Tower, water tower? That's revolving.
That's revolving. I don't think there are any new ones except for the Bennett well is what I'm adding just for the equipment. Otherwise, that's pretty much all the same.
So just saving for the upkeep, eventual replacement of
Yeah,
the equipment within
yep.
Bennett well, which was installed this year.
And the reason we do that is because part of a lot of the funding that we get, we have to show that we are have a plan in to replace the equipment over time. And the reason why they want you to have that, and you get more points for that, and that's why we've been so good at getting, and because they don't want you to come back to the well twice. They want you to show that you're actually going to take care of the equipment from the first time around, actually get grant money.
So this is on page 17, if you haven't found it.
Sorry, quick question. So the water tower project,
Yes.
to construct the 750,000, that was revolving? That's a revolving?
Oh, it's not a new request.
It's not a new
I should say,
request.
excuse me.
Okay, I'm sorry. Got it.
So the water tower, and I know we're gonna finish we're currently doing a water master plan, and the water master plan should be done around December. That's gonna show that the town needs another water tower. The current water tower was built, I believe, in 1978. It's a 3/4 million gallon tank. You would like to have a tank the size of, that can hold 3 to 5 days. Ours holds about 1.8 of storage.
Very different population in 1978 than it was.
Yeah.
So Sean, or maybe Bart, when you think all the enterprise funds added up, what is the request for this fiscal year?
Oh, for the water,
For the 25-26 year?
yeah, for the water, it's 239,816, and for the sewer is 659,180.
So I'm gonna do a quick math. Six plus 609, 1.9. So 899, basically 899 and $5. So it is a little higher than what the recommendation was last year because of those two projects, correct?
It should be a little bit higher because of the Bennett well was added to
Yep.
it. And it actually isn't higher on the wastewater side. It's a little lower because we put 300,000 aside last year for the Bay Road Force Main.
Yeah, so it's about $100K higher
Yeah.
than what we had said, but it's still lower than the year before where it was 992.
Yeah.
So.
And
Any other questions for, what is this that you just passed on?
That was just kind of a breakdown of water and sewer.
Okay.
Um,
Any other questions for Sean? Have a great evening, Sean.
thank you. You guys have a good night.
Thanks, you as well.
Sorry, Sean, about being late.
So I think, yeah, I think for the voting, we'll just wait for the end.
Yeah, just vote it
Yeah,
all together.
yeah. So I think next we'll invite Amy for recreation.
What page?
Page starts,
Here it is, page 26.
26.
26?
Yeah. So actually, the first request would be 27.
I'm not sure which one we're looking at, so.
The first one we're looking at is Bolio.
And these are both new, Amy?
Bolio Field. The Bolio Field is new, I believe. I'm trying to
Yeah.
remember if something was done several years ago, but I'd have to look back. But this is particularly, as you recall last year, the feasibility study is all I looked for. Because we really haven't got the master plan results yet, it was hard to kind of prioritize what was going on. So I put in the ones that I felt might steer that way, either due to safety concerns or so forth. But the Bolio Field, I did have somebody come down and take a look at a playground inspector. I've gone down there. In the last year, I received many complaints on social media about the condition of the playground on Elm Street. A lot of vandalism, in addition to just the general nature of where it was placed. It is borderline too close to rocks and certain things. The major concern right now is tree branches.
Yeah.
We would have to cut all those tree branches to meet code. So it's either knock the trees down or
It's really shady.
it's a shady location. That could be used in two different ways.
Good double entendre.
No
offense to Elm Street.
So again, I've met with the Little League, the chair there. There's really no other place in that area. They are looking to do other things that will be, we'll decide what goes on later on with that. But in the meantime, I've also looked at Schottmeyer Park. It's an underutilized memorial park. I truly feel that the kayak launches are down there, but there's a beautiful green tree there. There's lawn to the left. I talked to the pastor Patty. I know it's an easement we have with the church. She thought that would be a wonderful idea, especially because it might bring business to the thrift store. And then also the fact that it's not very utilized in the kayak launches. So the tree, and I had the playground sales rep come down and he thought it was a great location. Bart, you looked at the distance between the
Yeah, I think it's outside Shoreland, but
yes.
based on the location we discussed.
So what you're seeing ahead was a picture of a playground that, again, I was looking at this a while ago. I don't know if we received any capital money, or if there was a lot allotted to it. I know we didn't get totally what we requested that year, so I'd have to go back and look. But I wanted to show you a new, after talking to the sales rep that came after I'd already turned in this CIP. Just so you can get an idea of what I'm looking to replace it with. Because it was a conservation land, we wanted it to look a little bit less
You mean
colorful.
put this over at Shopmire?
Shop park. And it's just kind of a more naturey type of a playground. Because if we do need to pull the Rolio, the Elm Street playground as is, you know, we want to replace with another residential area. And an idea that we are thinking about is potentially that could become a dog park area
I believe a fielder.
where the Elm Street playground is.
Is that-
Nothing's definite. I'm still waiting for master survey results, and we would want to get some,
A lot of stakeholders involved, so.
Yes.
This would be a community conversation.
Yeah.
So, but I like, the idea generation has been great so far, I think, so.
one of the problems that the Little League has, one of their biggest problems is that people are using the Little League as the dog park,
Oh,
because it's the only area completely fenced in.
fenced in.
So they are like, and they also said it's very difficult for parents to watch games there when their little ones are running down closer to the street to play ball. It's more of a hindrance. We did say, out of the budget, that we would throw in a couple of play pieces maybe near the ball field, so there's something that parents could see and watch for the younger ones, if we did take out the
I mean, quick question, when you talk about vandalism, can you elaborate on that?
Just in general, because the area is so shady and dark, a lot of teens can hang out there, they're not seen, and just we're constantly dealing with the vandalism on the actual large structure that's there right now.
graffiti is what I,
The field.
Yeah.
yeah, I should talk about anything, like graffiti.
Yeah, graffiti, yeah, graffiti, I would say, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
The structure is okay, but it is 20 years old, and we're almost at the lifespan of a playground structure anyways.
All right, thank you.
Is there, look, my kids have played that park, so like I totally understand where you're coming from. Is there concern about, because that park is walkable from New Village, right? With families there, and Shopmire, while like it's a beautiful location, like it's at the edge of town, less walkable for some.
I combed the area for, I mean, even Bart was on, you know, the tax map, that we were looking for other locations. The only one location I had was privately owned, and they said, nope. And so I did look at that. There are sidewalks all the way to Shopmire Park. The parking area for Shopmire is a little bit smaller. That might have to be dealt with. I do think that there's room for expansion at very little cost. It's just a matter of conversations. So again, you know, during summer camp, when our playground is closed because of just security and issues, it would be nice to have another in the sun type playground for kids to go to. That's residential.
The land there is very wet, very low. I'd be
At
careful.
Shopmire?
Yeah, very wet. You know, I mean, sometimes you walk to the water and it's basically through a warm puddle all the way because there's standing water. So I'm not sure that it's
The right location?
as attractive a location as it might seem. I mean, I appreciate the sun, but anyway, it's
I did talk to Richie Shelton, who was like
Yeah.
that person that started this, and came back into my office all excited. We love it. But again, I don't want to have to do an analysis
Yeah.
of the land. And if it
just
doesn't.
because we don't want to run into sinking structures or
So-
subsiding structures.
Exactly. It's a suggested location
Yeah.
right now for the fact that it's underutilized and we need a place, or we have to think about something different. Just because right where it is right now, we really need to do something with it.
So, I think where you think of it's gonna be further towards the church, thrift store. You know, you get the parking lot, then there's that, that one big tree that's right there. That's where we're thinking about putting it. I think where you think about that low-lying area as you get closer to the river.
I'd just be,
see, so
Yeah.
closer to the,
Yeah, so it'll be closer to,
The
North
road.
Main Street, 108.
It just as the
Yeah.
slope comes down, the tree is there, and there, it's like a football field of grass that's almost kind of
Probably
like.
see it from the road even, like be a nice little thing.
I think it's a little, maybe,
It's
yeah.
a little sunk,
Too much
Okay.
people live there or not.
but.
the other word of caution is just throwing this out here, is the neighbor, so I would just be, aware of where you are trying to put something.
We're aware of the neighbor.
Yeah.
We have our launches, our kayak racks down there, and again, not very many people know that Schottmeyer Park is there. They can't see the kayaks from the road, so it's our least rented area, whereas actually one of the best areas to rent from because the docks are there and there's actually a kayak launch. So,
Just another one.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna throw these out.
sure.
Since it's on the water, I think it's a wonderful location to go swimming because
It truly
you're
is.
jumping into deep water and it's about as good as it gets in town. To what degree that's something that one could consider incorporating, especially if it's about making available a space during the summer, so that swimming there is maybe a little bit more of a clearly wanted possibility rather than something that you do on the docks, off the docks, even though the docks are not really
Well, it's
designed for that.
interesting you should say that, because the preliminary results from the survey do show one of the recreation questions, swimming availability,
Right.
closer, and one of the thoughts that I met with Conservation, Ellen, we talked about putting dock outside of Piscassic, which would also help, if we put it over the shoreline, help fix the shoreline. So that is, again, waiting for the results. It's nice to see that was a very strong, yes, we'd love that. And that would be something that I wouldn't really be looking at capital funds, capital reserve funds. The Recreation Department would fund that through our enterprise funds.
So this is proposed, but there's a lot more community conversation that has to occur before.
I think how I put it together was this playground needs to be either updated, fixed,
Or-
we need to move
got
the
it.
trees, we need to do
Yeah. something.
So either way, something needs to happen. It shouldn't really stay the way it is. So if we find another location, so I'm really just looking for funding for the
Playground.
potential of finding another location, because I don't want to take it away
Yeah.
and not put it back. The place there was to have another place when the rec department camp was running.
So I'm not a playground engineer, I'm not, but as a parent of an alabaster-skinned near 4-year-old, like the shade isn't always a bad thing.
Yeah.
As
I agree.
she's like, if the slide is 2 degrees too warm, refuses to get off.
Well, that's why I love the big tree. The
Yeah.
tree at Schottmeyer just provides that picnic area. And again, if we could find another location, we also talked about Piscassic Park where where they walk the dogs. We could do a play type environment where people could walk and do a nature walk play piece along the trail. It's another idea. Again, these pieces are all single pieces that could be placed along Piscassic and still be in the same neighborhood. So again, I'm just looking at what can we offset if we have to take the other one down.
You had another proposal, is it new, Amy? as well?
The other with the feasibility, just the update on that, waiting, I would have loved to have that done, but again, I have my own little spreadsheet here, I talked to Bart about it. I yellow everything that's already the survey is indicating, and it's my 10-year master plan and how rec funds, enterprise funds, grants, impact fees, and what capital reserve is. So I am taking into consideration. So the feasibility plan will really help us align what is the priority first before we go on. The other new one that I put was, as I become familiar with the Aqualand and the traffic that park has brought, I already have a capital improvement plan on just the fact that at some point, some of these pieces may break down and they have to replace. And I realized we never had one for the large playground at Leolandra. It's been just going strong. We add pieces to the surrounding area, but it is about 20 years old. We did have to replace several slides. The rec department paid probably about $15,000 in slide replacements, but at some point, the entire structure will need to be replaced, and I am now saying, we need to start thinking about that. So that is my plan, and that's why it's a continuous, let's start putting some money away, because to replace that particular park, we're talking about at least $300K. It didn't cost that when I bought it though, but that's, to do something and the public expects it because it was there.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that we're covering it. And I don't know if there's any other new ones other than Aqualand, the feasibility. I think I did put in for a vehicle, but we're not asking CIP money for that. The rec department is going to fund any new vehicles.
So the total request from CIP is 55 plus 25, so 80.
I think I put it's 150.
135.
But there's enterprise funds and
Oh, yeah. So, yeah.
I'm just looking at what's
55 plus 20
25.
plus 25
Plus, I think 5 with Aqualand.
and 5 for Aqualand maintenance.
Okay. It'll be a
All
very
right.
sad day in my family when that playground gets replaced. A lot of memories on that one.
Which one, the Elm Street one?
No, not at all. There's a lot of memories on that one too, but I'll be happy to see it go.
Well, I don't,
The big one.
It's still going strong, but the guy was there and he's like, Amy, they don't last forever.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, because I was here when it was built, so I helped design it. So it would be sad memory for me too, but
But appreciate the putting money aside for the.
yes. And again, the rec department's enterprise fund is there to help offset any, subsidize anything we don't want to ask for in capital reserves. So that's what we're here for.
Amy.
Yeah. Questions before she moves?
Alrighty then.
Thanks, Amy. Okay. Next up is DPW engineering. Welcome, Lindsay. Do you just want to just give us a rundown of
Yes, I don't think there's anything new in the DPW requests. I don't have any information to provide on the equipment request form, as that was primarily Rick, and I didn't have involvement there. But with the project requests, the MS4 general permit compliance and
Yep.
stormwater asset management are two that we discussed last year. And then we have the roadway management, planning and implementation request, and sidewalk expansion. I believe both of those were also previously discussed. I don't think there are any changes. I can say with sidewalk expansion, I did talk with Rick and take a closer look at that because the study that was done was 2019 and costs have increased since then. So we updated the numbers on that to get better current costs and incorporate some inflation for some of the next few years as we get through that program.
And then stormwater's assets continuing on.
Yeah, that's yep, that hasn't, same as last year. And those, rest too, just kind of brief refresher on the stormwater asset management. We are working on the development of our stormwater asset management plan, kind of like Sean was talking about, the wastewater master plan. It's a similar idea. The asset management plan is a program that will help us use data-driven, make data-driven decisions. So we'll have condition assessments and risk assessments on our stormwater system and be able to prioritize our replacement needs based on that. So we are anticipating that once we complete that program, we may be updating the numbers in further out years, but we're currently working on finishing up that program and developing that assessment. So we want to start saving for the anticipated replacements as we go.
Questions? So stormwater and MS4, we talked about last year. They were not in the approved budget. Can you recall, like, refresh my memory as to what happened then?
I think the MS4 one was.
I think it was didn't we do it? I think the CIP committee, was the town manager didn't do it, or CIP committee didn't do it?
I mean, so I can't see where it didn't come through?
I think CIP committee approved both, and I think town manager
Pulled it
did
out.
approve MS4 and did not asset management. Maybe we haven't finished the program yet.
Do you know why? What happened? Like,
I think he was just reviewing priorities on his part, and he slashed a lot of the budget, like what was approved by the committee compared to what he proposed was different.
I mean, the MS4 is designated as like compliance.
I think that was funded.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't.
one-
I don't
yeah,
think the
that one was.
stormwater assets manager was funded.
Okay, because
Right.
the 23 requests
Sidewalks was
approved.
not funded either.
Okay.
Right.
Could have been, I have to kind of go back and review that with him, but maybe looking at what's already been allocated already based on priority, forecasting on what we need to do this year's permitting requirements. Because it's based on, you have a checklist for each year as you advance through the program. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lindsay. But you might have looked at that based on, the needs to fund that and said, well, enough right now. So,
And does the budget for those projects take into account, I see the current balance, well, that's of a year ago now, right?
no, that's right now. So you actually have an updated capital reserve sheet right here in your packet.
Oh, sorry. Does it break it down the way the spreadsheet does? And
No, it just gives the,
yeah, so the spreadsheet is probably not exactly accurate, but
Yeah.
it says there's almost 137K in there.
yeah.
That amount is factored into,
Yes, because, and the purpose of this request is also to start planning for the things that we haven't found yet, but we anticipate finding, and that's some of the projected costs.
okay. Questions? Other questions, I should say.
That's together, right? 60. That makes sense. Yeah, so the MS4 and the stormwater management are combined in the same capital reserve.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. I might have just missed that, so I apologize.
So quick question. It's off kind of what we're just talking about, but as I'm reading it, we talk about the recreation department feasibility study, right? And then there's another feasibility study for the library. And I know we talked about this last year. Is there any way of looking at that as one feasibility study? Or the skill sets are so totally different?
I think you probably have a little more insight into that, so.
I would say it's the needs that are totally different. Library needs are very building system focused, and recreational needs are very outside of a building focused.
But there's no way that when we talk about the facility, feasibility versus the library feasibility, because that's architectural. I just didn't know architectural and feasibility, is that kind of the same? Again, I'm just trying to see if we procure these in a more efficient way, that's all.
I think if you understand from where the pots of money are coming from, it makes more sense.
Yeah.
So library has capital reserve for their own building.
Right,
Town hall, besides rec department, you know, they have their own facilities coming from money, then you have rec department. So I
Yeah.
think they were considering recreation at the time you're doing the feasibility study from last year. So town hall, station,
Yeah.
but then not being too much in the scope of, again, scopes are different. These
Okay.
are for two specific buildings, recreation, like, not just community center, but
Right,
as a
well, and
whole of all
that, so the
Okay.
term facility
yeah.
includes a building, but also the other elements of the site. And
Okay.
that's where the library is on a building, so an architect, standard architect, would be very well equipped with that. When you get to the community center,
It's not the same,
recreation
okay.
center, you have a building, but you also have a lot of other elements, and that's where, like, an architect is not the same as a landscape architect. They kind of have different specialties. So
okay, I just want to make sure it wasn't, an administrative issue, as you,
No, it was definitely discussed.
so, okay, so it's really a skill set issue then, okay, all right, thank you.
Other questions? You're free to go.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Oh, you're free to stay.
That's right. Cool. I guess,
So we have 3 other ones on here.
so, police department, I talked to Chief Jordan today. His requests are the same.
Same.
So it's just running through the schedule.
Yep.
Last year, there was a software thing, and
Yeah.
they got a grant. And
Okay.
so that's right now, they're just waiting on the grantor and the money. So it wasn't, so anyways, that's all set, so.
And that was
nothing's changed.
labeled before as urgent.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
so we're moving forward with that because we found a bunch of money through grants, so that's great. And that'll be part of this. Business as normal, based on the schedule you see in front of you, which is on page, towards the back.
24.
Yeah. Fire, same thing. I know we're going through the same question a year after, but they're asking for 51,000 in capital reserve to pay for the lease payment. I know the idea right now is that's going to be eventually a town vehicle. Right now, it's kind of like a type of thing. So it's going through that process again. But nothing's changed, put it that way. And same thing for my request, which is at the end.
It's the master plan
Master
request.
It's just starting to save for the next one.
Crazy.
And just asking for the same amount, 10 grand. And that's it. No requests library this year. They are going to follow through with their feasibility, so I think they are about to hire a firm to do theirs. So that's moving forward, so that's good. Look at that. So that's all the requests we got this year. That's what I'm front of you.
Questions on any of the other ones? I know Rich isn't here, but I will play his role like when he was on the,
Yeah.
that, like, I don't think it makes sense if we're leasing a vehicle to using capital reserve money for that. That seems very clearly to something that would go in the operating budget, but.
I think there's a couple things too, like, and this is just, where's the money come from? Like, while we're on the top, like, road maintenance paving. Last year, the road improvement was for Ash Swamp Road Bridge, which is great. But also, that was kind of a one-off as well. And then the road paving plan, which is super important, needs to be done, management plan, it goes in and out each year. Put in 250 gets like,
Yeah.
because you gotta use it, you know, because it's needed. So it's, you know, again, it's just at the high policy, you know, how are we gonna do it? Is it through operations? You know, is it through, you know, through the same old capital reserve? You know, is that the appropriate use for the capital reserve fund? But, you know, I think we just gotta continue having the conversations.
I think that's a great point, Bart, right? Like, if there's a one-time expense that we're gonna have a 1 year, put money in the capital reserve and immediately take it out in order to pay for something, why is that not an operating budget item?
So,
It just feels like we're masking operating budget inside capital reserves, which
Right.
is supposed to be saving for long-term capital projects.
so yeah, I think we should just continue having those conversations as we move forward.
What's the pushback on it, though? Tell me, because I think what you're saying makes sense.
And again, like, I'm not gonna fall on my sword for this, but it does feel like, why not just make it as like operating budget if it's a one-time, like, hey, this year we have to do this thing, we need budget for it. Feels like we're adding administrative burden to go through the machination, of the town council having to like release the money from capital reserves. It just
Well,
doesn't feel like
I think-
transparent to me.
I
maybe,
think,
so.
yeah, as we transition to planning, you
Yeah.
know, this is a conversation we're probably gonna have less and less of, because we're more focused on the long range planning of things. And then the financing, you know, how's money made, or where's it going, pots of money. I think we can still comment on, but I don't think we should devote our time towards, unless, you know,
I think it's a fantastic point.
Yeah.
The more we operate as we were intended, a planning
Yeah.
body, a body is like something that could be leveraged by the planning board, then the less tolerance that I think we would have as a body for, like, why are you bringing these one-time purchase things to us? It feels very, like, not our purview.
Exactly, and I think we just, I think the board, the committee just needs to continue bringing this up. You know, it might be painful, but I think it still needs to be spoken to. You know, what is long-term planning? What is long-term savings? What's that look like? What's it supposed to look like?
But shouldn't that
Let's
be
have a-
part of our charter on what definition of long-term planning is?
It is in the, you know, ordinance in the
RSA.
town charter. And we can, so I think our next meeting, what we're gonna do is print that out for everyone, understand, you know, what we currently are, and then where we wanna go. You know, I think that'd be very helpful. But I just think right now, we'd be more useful checking in with the town on their goals and what they're doing.
Yeah.
And still making recommendations on financing, I think, you know, because I think we have to anyways on the way, but I just don't want us to get hung up on that.
So, can you give us a quick update, just as to where that stands and how you see that potentially impacting our ability to make decisions based on what the master plan's guidance is?
So right now, we're gonna kind of reset our goals. We're gonna lay a new foundation. We're gonna have all new chapters by the end of, I would say, next summer. And really what that will do is show us how we want to evolve as a community in the next 10 years. And part of that, that document as an appendix is going to be implementation, like an appendix chapter on how we get there. And that will be the foundation on how we move forward with projects, planning for projects. And because the idea will be that everything that the town administration is doing should relate back to that master plan, because that's how we develop, that's how we do future land use. And then, you know, that's how we upgrade our community facilities, you know, so on and so forth. So, you know, a lot of these you're seeing is facilities projects, you know, large term projects. So our recreation chapter will be amended as well. So having that as a touchstone will help the town departments work towards meeting the goals within that document, and everybody theoretically decided upon on a rational basis. So we're planning on a rational basis. We're justifying all these costs. I think we're doing it right now, but it's kind of, sometimes anecdotal, sometimes, plans that have been made in the department, really well done, but they're not talking to any other documents. So almost isolated, siloed, even though they're, great plans. So once everything is connected, then you'll just understand where we're going. Right now, we're kind of spinning our wheels, I'd say, in a good way. I won't say like we're like spinning our wheels.
No, but you're right.
You
You're
know,
right.
like I just think for all this to be justified, we need a guiding document that's been updated and it reflects what the community is today. So, anyways, that's where we're going, and we're gonna. I think the way I envision this, if the committee agrees, is we kind of meet quarterly and we invite all the departments in, and we just get an update on where they are with their projects, and kind of understand their financings. Like, anything's changed so far? Do you anticipate? And we do forecasting that way. And one, that'll give us a better idea as a committee, understand where we're going to. It allows the public to view. Well, it's almost, think of it as like a department report almost, like a court, or like another opportunity to understand where departments are doing and where their capital projects are going.
Yeah.
So, was sometimes not always reflected, in department reports. So, it's just a great opportunity for transparency, and in a way efficiency, because we're just making sure everyone's touching back, kind of ourselves on where we are in our improvements. So it's kind of where I think we should go. It's up to you. But
Thoughts?
I'm not sure I understand enough to be able to comment. I'm wondering if the master plan will also include recommendations for changes to how committees operate, which committees are responsible for what, and ensuring that we have essentially the structure to implement the and and have the committee structure to kind of provide guidance and oversight, maybe oversight where that's called for, and because I feel like the way that we've been doing planning is we've created a document and then kind of hoped and prayed that it would somehow get implemented, that the right people would be found to move this forward or that forward. So there's the giving ownership to, like, who owns this piece and who is driving it forward and who needs to be kept informed in order to make it work really well. And I think that requires a really thoughtful review. So I think there's the planning for what we want, but there's also the planning for how do we make sure that making sure that we get there and that we have the capacity to move ourselves in that direction. And, I think that's really, at least that's my impression. That's really where we've been lacking, the having the ownership structure for moving the plan forward, so that it's not a wonderful thought process, and you can have really solid goals, but if we haven't structured ourselves, put ourselves together in a way that allows for this plan to actually be implemented, then it's not going to be as successful as it could be.
Yeah, so part of the implementation matrix.
Yeah.
One, I think it's a good recommendation, which you could put in your master plan. So part of that implementation process is updating the institutional infrastructure for carrying out the implementation.
Yeah.
But also, in the matrix itself, you have responsible party. So that, at least at that point in time, identifies an agency or department or person
Yeah.
who should be responsible in carrying that recommendation out, or that plan out. Second point is, I think if we really want that organizational change, I think it comes from maybe a charter.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, town charter change. So that's its own process. So I think that'd be the time to do it. It would be at that point if we want like a substantial change. But right now, and that could be a recommendation as well in the master plan. Like revisit the charter, bring up the charter commission to understand how understand responsible parties to carrying out the master plan more efficiently and effectively. Something to that effect, I don't know.
When the master plan really, like,
It is the plan board's document, so they're ultimately in charge of it,
it
but,
provides that vision for what the
Yeah.
future that we, as a community, say we want to be, and then the charter provides for the systems of government that allows that to be accomplished.
right,
That's right.
that too, yeah. So I think there are opportunities within that document to at least recommend it.
Okay.
I know you've mentioned before, like this potential of a charter commission coming up again post master plan.
It'll be post, yeah. No, that's, if it were.
Yeah, I know. The worst thing that would happen to do
Yeah.
it before, in the
No,
middle
no,
of it.
that has its own, whatchamacallit, procedural requirements to occur, so.
Town has to vote on that, right?
Yeah, right. So, that's just a, hypothetical at that point if it were to happen. But I think it's something that, you may want to revisit and maybe bring to the vote. Again, it kind of makes sense because we're up to these documents, these really foundational documents, and we want to make sure that we have the infrastructure, institutional infrastructure in place to carry it out.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I feel like without an updated master plan, this committee is a little bit walking in the woods without a compass.
Yep.
Because we don't know where we're supposed to be headed. So like it all looks like a nice path, but we have no idea if it's like
Right.
the one that the community wants to go.
That's why I feel next year it'll be different. That'll be the first time we're making the shift, this dramatic shift towards long-range planning, because we'll have something really to work off of that's relevant in the sense it's updated, put it that way.
So for this year, we have these requests in front of us.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Do we act on them as a slate, or do we need to go down as?
you gotta go one by one. I think that'd be
All right.
so.
Strap
if
yourself
you
in,
look
kids.
on page 3 of your manual, you'll have a definition of what each letter means.
Yep.
So for urgent, compulsory, necessary, and desirable. So I guess for the public, I'll just read in what that is. So urgent, so the way this works is that the requester designates a project if it's urgent, compulsory, necessary, or desirable, and then the CIP committee votes on that. It could be different, it could be the same. So they review the merits of and vote on it. So urgent means if the project is required to remedy an existing threat to public health, safety, or is required to rectify grossly inadequate but essential public facilities or services. Compulsory, if the project is required by statute, law, regulation, contract, or other obligation. Necessary, project is needed to maintain existing standards or levels of service. And desirable, if the project would be beneficial to the community but is not considered necessary, compulsory, urgent, or is deferrable.
Quick question, under compulsory, I believe it's probably clearly understood, but that would be either state, federal, or town or
That's
county.
correct, yeah.
Okay, so I'm really sure.
Yep. Okay, so going forward, page 2, We have recreation vehicles, I mean, not
These
recreation.
are public work vehicles.
DPW vehicles and equipment.
So, do people want me to read off, I'll accept a motion, and then let people say yay or nay, or do people want to make motions individually?
I say,
Yeah.
be
All right.
efficient.
I'll accept a motion for the approval of the Public Works Vehicle Equipment Capital Improvement Plan request in the total of 2 million, wait, is this, how much is
Well,
that?
this year is 123,765.
$123,765 with a code of necessary. Yeah, you need a motion?
Yep.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed 4-0. Accept the motion for the CIP, the MS4 general permit compliance for a cost of $65,000 with a code of necessary.
You said necessary?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, someone want to make that motion?
Make a motion?
There we go.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. We'll get a rhythm here, everyone. I'll accept a motion for roadway management planning and implementation, the cost of $250,000 and a code of necessary.
Make a motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4-0. I'll accept a motion for the townwide sidewalk expansion capital reserve fund in the amount of $161,918 with a code of desirable.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. I'll accept a motion for the stormwater asset management capital reserve fund deposit of $45,000 with a code of necessary.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. On to wastewater. I'll accept a motion for the wastewater master plan with a cost of $200,000. It's not a cost. What is it?
Expenditure?
Bart, the exact way.
Allocation.
With an allocation, thank you. An allocation of $200,000 with a code of necessary.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. I'll accept a motion for pump station improvement program, allocation of $250,000 with a code of necessary. Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Not even halfway done, friends. I'll accept the motion of the Creighton Street Pumping Station Replacement Program in a total allocation of $51,837 and the code of necessary?
Necessary, yeah.
Yeah.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. I'll accept the motion for the wastewater facility site various equipment replacement program for a total allocation of $51,350 with the code of necessary. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. I'll accept a motion for the maintenance building equipment replacement program capital reserve allocation of $43,979 with the code of necessary. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. I'll accept a motion for the dewatering building equipment replacement program with an allocation of $20,243 and a code of necessary. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. You can't put these all into one request. It feels very-
Yeah, I mean, yeah, very,
I appreciate the level of detail. but
I think maybe next year I'll just lump it up.
Thank you. I'll accept a motion for the control building equipment replacement program. Total allocation of $25,462 with the code of necessary.
So moved.
Well,
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Accept a motion for the sewer department truck replacement program for a total of $21,818 with a code of necessary.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. I will accept a motion for the water tower project with an allocation of $100,000 and a code of necessary.
Second.
Sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. I'll accept a motion for the Sewell and Bennett Equipment Replacement Program with an allocation of $24,198 and the code of necessary.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. I would like to know what percentage of the time this meeting we're spent doing this. I'll accept a motion for the Macintosh and Tucker Well Equipment Replacement Program for a total of $19,198 and a code of necessary.
Moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Accept the motion for water treatment plan Macintosh Tucker for a total of $65,346 and a code of necessary. Wait a minute.
Second.
There is 2 pages of this one.
Yeah, it's page 1, page 2, so, yeah.
Can we
let's
add
it
those
up.
together
Let's add
for a
them up.
single?
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
fine. So I got the top
I'm going to, can we rescind the last motion?
one. Or you can amend it.
Okay, we'd like to amend the motion for a dollar total of,
To include also, for an additional amount of $65,346. How about that?
well, with the additional amount of $15,923, 65,346.
65.
Because it's the same
3, 4, 6.
capital reserve, just in 2 pages.
Yep. It's the same, yeah. 3, 4, 6 plus 15, 9, 2, 3.
Yep. So that total will be amended.
$81,209.
$81,269. So, okay, I think you had the motion. You fine with that amendment?
Absolutely.
Fine with the
Yes.
second? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 4-0. And I will accept a motion for the Water Department Vehicle Replacement Program for a total of $15,151 with the code of necessary. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Fire. I'll accept a motion for the Fire Department Vehicle Replacement Program for a total of $51,000 and a code of necessary.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
This is the least one, right? Just so that it doesn't look clean on it, I'm saying nay as a message. Motion passes 3-1. Let Steve know
Is that
it
your
was me.
recommendation?
You tell Steve it was me. On to police. I'll accept a motion for the dispatch and equipment acquisition and replacement schedule for total allocation of $30,920 and a code of necessary.
Oh, can we amend that,
Oh,
please? So that included something else that was revoked. So that number is actually going to be, hold.
we don't even have to amend it. No one made a motion yet.
Okay, it's going to be $25,920.
Chief Jordan's saving us dollars. So I'll accept a motion for the dispatch and equipment acquisition and replacement schedule for a total of $25,920 and a code of necessary. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's that lieutenant of dispatch, Mark Pelzar, that's saving us our money right there. We're on to recreation. I will accept, so this one is called the
Yeah.
Bolia Playground on Elm Street.
So based on the conversation we had with Amy, right now we're saving for, right now, the eventual replacement or something here at Bolio.
Okay.
And then next year, so this might be the opportunity when that might get reallocated. So that'll be another, having that long-range planning conversations. So right now, but it's going towards a park, or park facilities, or playground facilities. Question is where? So right now, that's the playground facility that we have right now. And so we're gonna put money towards that.
the motion, it's not, like, we're just recommending.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay, but that we're not tying that money to that location.
No, because
Okay.
it can always be amended. So, right now, we're planning for that, but what happens if, through community conversations, we decide we want that park to be somewhere else?
Shotmeyer or whatever.
Shotmeyer or whatever, then we can have that conversation, transfer the money towards there. Or, improvements on Bullitt,
Okay.
yeah.
So I'll accept a motion for the Boya Playground on Elm Street project with a allocation of $25,000 and a code of
I would say necessary.
necessary. Yeah, she checked two
I
there.
know.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. I'll accept a motion for the comprehensive recreation feasibility study. So it's $130,000, but 55 from capital reserve. What is the allocation that we need to?
Yeah, so that's not all enterprise funds, so some of that will go towards, so it looks like what she would be contributing to enterprise would be, her contribution from her enterprise fund, 5,000, then impact fee should be utilized, and so the remainder, 55,000, would go from, that'd be general.
Capital reserve.
Into capital reserve.
Okay, so that is what the motion should say, is what I'm
Right.
saying.
Yep.
Okay. Comprehensive recreation feasibility study with an allocation of $55,000 and a code on sheet of 2. What do people think? Tell you what, dealer's choice, necessary or desirable. Whoever makes the motion gets to make it.
The other studies were necessary,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Is this one?
Yep.
So moved.
Used.
Necessary?
Yes,
All right.
yeah.
So moved, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. I accept a motion for the large playground at Leo Landreth Field, capital reserve allocation of $20,000 and a code of necessary.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. I'll accept a motion for the Aqua Land Splash Pad Maintenance Fund with an allocation of $5,000 and a code of necessary. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. And I will accept a motion for Recreation Department vehicles with a total of allocation of $55,000 and a code of necessary. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Last but surely not least, I will accept the motion for the town master plan update with an allocation of $10,000 and a code of necessary.
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Look at that, friends.
So,
Churning and burning.
one, thank you all. I just want to, thank you for your time and going through this. And 'cause I think things are going to get better. So,
I think
What
we are.
a message of hope from Mark.
well,
Things are gonna get better,
It's
everyone.
not that
No,
they're
you were.
bad now. It's just I think, and I noticed this with a lot of different committees too. They feel like things are moving slowly. They're starting to see the benefits, the fruits of their labor. It's just taking longer than maybe people would like it to. So I think, we're getting there. I think we're putting ourselves in a great position, and I think in the next couple of years we're really going to be in a solid spot. So, not prognosticating fully, but I think based on the what we're doing right now, what we're trying to achieve, I think our labor will pay off. So that's good. So thank you for being part of that.
Thank you.
So you thought you were done, but we're going to try to meet in October to review the school's budget.
Shorter.
Yeah, it'll be shorter meeting, but then at that point, we're doing some research right now on what other communities do for their CIP process. So what we're going to do is present that information, and then we can start having those conversations of what we'd like to become. What's been successful in other communities, and how do we want to kind of make it our own, based on people's experience, the track that we're going. So stay tuned. I'll shoot you an email when we can meet in October. And with Todd Allen, superintendent, to see when he wants to come in and join us as well, and
Okay.
go from there.
All
So,
right.
again, any questions before we depart?
I will accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Hey.
Aye. We stand adjourned at 6:43.
Thank you.